Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Professor Spira, and I am here with the man, the myth, and the legend, Brother Air. What's going on, Brother Air?
Oh, Professor Spira. Oh man, you got me. Back again.
Yeah.
We got to stop meeting like this.
Yeah, man. So welcome everybody to Professor Spira and Brother Air Unleashed, number 2, Mucusless Diet Healing System State of the Union address. And it is a privilege and pleasure to be here talking to those that are interested in physiological liberation, interested in the works of Professor Arnold Air, Mucusless Diet Healing System. And Brother Air has practiced mucusless diet almost 40 years now, and has really made quite amount of innovation and really dedicated his life to experimenting on himself and trying to see how far he can take himself physiologically. Done a lot of fasting, a lot of transitioning, a lot of experimentations that some people probably wouldn't even want to do and mess with, and really put himself out there and, saw what this thing is about. And about almost 13 years ago, he got me hip to Professor Arnold Air at the Mucusless Diet. And I was, a big 280-pound guy, just out there trying to learn how to play music, and come across Brother Air. And before I know it, I'm reading Arnold Air's work, and it's just blowing my mind. And I'm like, all right, let's give this a shot, and then 6 months later, I lost about 100 pounds, and you guys know the story. So, Brother Air, what has been going on?
Well, greetings, Professor. Well, first off, I want to say 13 years ago, we actually talked about this, all of this that's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to publicly make the statement to you, and it's like, we used to do the old Mission Impossible thing, and we would talk about, if you want this mission,
Mm-hmm.
and I would look at you and I would say, man, look, you want the mission. And so you took the mission. You took the mission, and you turned it into, you've changed our lives. You brought me along, and I appreciate it, let's be a part of this ride. And with the whole cyber internet thing, you got me all plugged in, and got me more. I was at a Whole Food in another state, man, and somebody recognized me, man. I said, wow, this is,
yeah.
This is, it's getting heavy. So, because I'm like real public with that, as far as with the physiological piece, where we had, right there in Ensemble was about as out as I could get, as far as saying something, but where it's at now, and we imagined it and it was being very patient, and the work, doing the work, and I honestly have have kind of taken the role of report to duty. Whenever you call me and say that I need to do this or do this, and and I need to smile, or I need to talk to somebody, or I need to take a picture, or whatever. I mean, and so I just want to, it's changed my life. Now, I mean, so I just wanted to publicly thank you, man, for being so consistent and sharing, the whole mucus-free life, the Arnold Eric, all of this, it's changed our lives, man. And it's made me talk a little bit more about it to people. Where I was, you would like prodded me, man. I was like, man, I do not want to be bothered with other folks' physiology. I'm trying to deal with mine. So
yeah,
and that's enough, and that is truly enough, man. Trying to get yourself together, and then when you're trying to, but we had talked about hopefully trying to motivate people to get into their physiology, and it's happening, man. I mean, this thing is blowing up, because people now, I think it's done came to full circle, the homeopathic, holistic, kind of veganism, organic, all these words, that we use in the, the health, the health piece, and, I mean, all these things that came down the pipe. Now everybody's coming around to looking at mucusless. We wouldn't use we wouldn't use that word 20 years ago. People had a hard time saying mucus, man.
Right.
And so now people have tried all these other I hate to call it a diet, live it. They've tried all these other things, and they've come up not successful. And so then they come to the mucusless diet, and really the mucusless diet is all about how much. It's I always say it's like waiting on you to do the work. You understand? It's just waiting on you to do the work. That's what this is about. This isn't about, I want to lose weight. This is about your whole frequency. This is about changing your frequency. And so and that's why we don't sit up and tell people take this, do this. We just share what we do in terms of our transition. That's all we do. Is you tell people about what you went through, some enemas or whatever, and I might share something that I'm going through, and that's all we do. Because really, this is about you bringing something to the table and sharing with us. That was what the whole Eric. You remember when the Eric group? When I think Victor had the Eric group, and you went on there, you used to go on there and tell me things, and it was just really, really lame,
Oh, are you talking about the old?
The old.
That was before Facebook existed. That was the original, Eric Club. The old Eric Club. Alvin Last, it was his name. Cat did.
And so that kind of, this is what this came out of, was so disgusted at that. and, it was like, well, we can do better than this,
Right.
And So you know, put in the work and man, and turned it into something that's really coherent, you know, and it was a long time before I even got on that page, you know, like on the Eric group that you started. I wouldn't even look at it. I was like, man, just go ahead, do your thing, you know, you tell me stories. Then it started getting a little interesting when people, you know, when you start, you know, really saying, man, you need to look at this guy, or you need to look at this lady, you know, you need to check this out, see what they're doing, check, you know. So then, you know, so, you know, so I just wanted to thank you, man, publicly to let you know, like, it's changed my life for the better, you know, in every way. So, you know. So yeah,
I mean, I appreciate that, man, definitely, and you know, and I always, you know, appreciate you just sharing the information with me years ago, you know, because it takes, you know, it takes courage to do that. You know, a lot of people don't think about that, and when people often ask me about the different Mucusless diet practitioners that they hear me talking about, and different figures and people that I personally have met or known, you have to explain is a lot of Mucusless diet practitioners historically are just not really interested in being real super public people. You know, they don't necessarily want to put themselves out there like that. And you know, and Brother Air was kind of the first cat that I knew to really, like, he put himself out there and would talk to hundreds of people just on the streets, and you know, and just really hone in on being able to talk about the diet with people, and you know, trying to give examples and give ways to explain the information in a real basic way that would you know, communicate beyond boundaries. Because you know, when you start having really profound experiences along this path, you sort of get to a point where you can no longer relate certain things to people. You know, there's certain things that you experience that you either can't talk about, you wouldn't want to talk about, or there really isn't, the language hasn't developed yet to be able to really talk about it, you know. But you know, Brother Air sort of kept, you know, he kept a foot in reality in terms of just the you know, just kind of keeping that ability to still be relatable. And you know, so I appreciate that. And you know, and just try to, like you say a lot, it's, to me, it's just about the service. It's about what can we bring to the table, what can we do to try and, you know, trying to heal ourselves, and at the same time, it's in our best interest to create a community and to create an environment, an educational environment where other people can learn about what we're doing. Because even if they don't get into the diet, it still makes it easier on us when people respect what we do. Yeah. And that's something that I've noticed over time, is people are starting to respect what we do more. Even if they don't want it, they don't want to mess with it, but I don't get that kind of real vitriol that I remember back in the day. You know, like,
it is. It seriously is that kind of what you say, respect and reverence for the work that you put in, man. Yeah, I definitely see that in terms of how people treat me, that know about what we do. Come with a certain reverence, and that makes me, you know, kind of, I'm still getting used to that, dealing with that, you know, just because, I mean, sometimes it's over the top, like really, you know, like, oh, Brother Air, you know, this worship type, you know, and I'm like, man, I'm just, you know, I still fart and I still do all the things that human beings do, but it makes you, it makes me work harder. Makes me more consistent at waking up in the morning, trying to get knowledge, trying to learn more about what it is, because this is all about our mortality, and we're trying to live as long as we can.
Mm-hmm.
We only get one chance down here.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so it's really about trying to get another day out of this thing, man. You know, trying to squeeze another day, one more day,
Right.
one more day, you know, one more hour, one more second. And so that's the telling of it. You know, it's like that's what it's gonna all be about. If somebody can get over that hump 100 years, somebody can get over that hump 150 years. I mean, that's a possibility. You dig? Somebody's gonna do it, and I would like to see somebody who is a practitioner, you know, of an heritage, do it, you know, and every step of the way say, well, I practice this. This is why this is happening. You know, because you see a lot of people, man, you know, human interest stories of people living to 100, 107, 108, and they look like, you know, Rick and Morty set in, and they're, you know, in the wheelchair, and they got all the family around. And I mean, you know, that's
right.
But there's no, you know, like, well, what did she do to, you know, they are asked, what did she do, or what did he do? And they might have a old fable of, well, I smoked, you know, 2 cigars a day and drunk, you know, a shot of Jack Daniel. I mean, it's that kind of thing, man. And I mean, it works for that kind of human interest story. But we want the guy or the lady to be able to explain the mechanics at 110 and say, look, you know, I only eat once a week, or, you know what I mean? Something really like, wow, you know, I'm doing my enemas, and I mean, really be able to put all the blame on heritage, you know, on, you know what I mean? Put it all like, you know, I studied,
right,
you know,
like this is why,
yeah, this is why, yeah, and so that's what this is about for me, is to really, other folks can plug in and maybe, you know, get a little farther than I can, and then they turn somebody on, and the other person can get a little farther than they can, and it's, you know what I mean, it's like millions of years of degeneration. Now we got, you know, we've started the process of regenerating ourselves, and you know, so it might take another million years, but you know, that's like taking one step at a time. A lot of people couldn't see the end of this story when you say, wow, if a million years, well, if it's gonna take another million years to get it together, see, a lot of people would shut it down right then. They'd be like, oh man, because they're probably not gonna be around to see it, you know.
Right.
But the thing that we always used to talk about was starting the process. You know, that we're starting the process, and somebody, you know, might be able to take it farther, and keep. And I was
right. And I was talking about that today with someone who was talking about like basically that you trying to clean yourself up, but a lot of people, they're still real like into them, like me. When am I done transitioning? What does, you know, how far could I go? What, I'm like, I want to clean myself up, and then maybe one day, you know, have a child, try to clean that child up, and then that child has a child, and so on and so on. You know, by the time you get to 3 or 4 generations down, maybe now you're starting to talk about some folks that are on the cleaner side. Like now you're talking about like, okay, that's been a good transition. You know, that's been like 5 generations. All right, now we talking about a little transition, you know, but we got to develop that vision, you know, and that understanding of the long-term game of like, we're serious about this. We ain't playing games. We ain't talking about, you know.
The same way Ford was serious about the car. You know, and it became generation after generation of Fords who run that company because they were serious about cars.
Right.
That's the way that, you know, myself and me, we want that kind of vibe, man. You know, either family or even just practitioners that we become friendly with is like, man, this is the job, man, is to try to take this thing somewhere.
Right. Well, it's like, you know, build a legacy, you know, build a physiological legacy, you know, base it on physiological liberation and cleanliness versus trying to base it on, you know, $20 million and a big yacht and all this, you know.
Well, okay, you know, like we say, we don't use that word evolution.
Yeah.
You know, like I was telling you, man, I was gonna wash your mouth every year.
Yeah.
But let's use that word to build with.
Right.
See that? Okay, we can use that word now.
Yeah, but right, based on what we're doing.
Yeah.
Now we can use that word.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's use that and do that with that. So, yeah, man. I mean, this is serious. We're serious. This is first priority in our lives, man. There's nothing more important to me than my practice of physiology. You know, before family, before friends, it's my practice. Because I feel if I'm not around, then I won't be around to enjoy my family or my friends.
Right.
So to have this in place is, you know, as a priority, as a number one priority in my life, is just so important, man. And I don't fool around, man. I don't fool around with people. Certain certain characteristics. You know, I don't have time for it, man. I just, you know, yeah, okay, well, you into that, and you know, just watching all of this whole holistic world, you know, especially with the internet, you know, seeing all these so-called health gurus. It's you know, it's just like food. It's like watching television, man. You know, it's just some more of the same old bullshit. You know.
Yeah, just a reality. You know, it's the reality show. You know,
because cats, everybody. See, the thing with that is everybody wants to be somebody that people look up to. You know what I mean? Instead of really getting into the whole health, the whole healthy physiological lifestyle, and really learning some things about human beings and how the mechanics work. They really like to become mouthpieces. You dig? So, you know, they revel in that, man, and people and people love that because, you know, it's say the right thing. That's all people want you to do is tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the music, how we say, give them what they want, just don't give it to them the way they want it. You know, and so that's, you know, that's why I don't really don't know. I think, well, I know you support a lot more guys on the internet than I do. I support no one.
I mean, I really only have. I mean, I have a
Yeah,
couple. You know, like I got one. You know, like one or two people that I will like. Where I will share their videos. Like, okay, I like this. You know, and this and there. There's really, you know, as we got the cast like Tony. You know, Tony and you know, Doug and Tobin. Yeah. So we got the camp cats, but then outside of that,
yeah.
you know, Dr. Morris is about it because he's the closest to Eric's work in terms of 40 years of healing people that was on their deathbeds. I mean, he developed that. So I give him that, you know, and so he's kind of the cat, like if somebody's got some real you know, some real crazy kind of eliminations that they're going through, and I can find one of his videos, be like, here, watch this, like he's talking about this, you know. So but other than that, I mean, that's it. I mean, that's really about it, because in terms of, you know, people now, you know, I've put myself in the position of checking out more people than you, so I've checked out. You know, I've kind of made it my business to like, okay, let me see. I actually don't do it as much as I used to, but at one point when I was really trying to understand the scene and kind of see how we could fit into this thing, you know, I spent a lot of time just looking at all the different people that had YouTube channels that was halfway close to what we were talking about, just to see, okay, is there an alliance or is there anything that could be made? And one of the, you know, one of the reasons that I had, you know, the earliest incarnation when things started really moving, it was when I was in the Dr. Morris forum, you know, the now defunct Dr. Morris forum, because they had actually got too big and it couldn't, the administrators couldn't really control things anymore. And so it was just going way too off the rails. And so that's one thing. And you know, I've learned from that for the Professor Arnold Ehret forum. We gotta stay focused. You know, we gotta stay focused on the work, on the book, and you know, and we can talk about a lot of subjects, but do it within the context of the Mucusless diet, Arnold Ehret, because I can take any subject and make it about the diet. You know, it's just
Right.
it's like I just like pick a subject and I will make it about the diet. You know,
because life is about physiology. I mean, you know, the blood. That's you know, that's life, is the blood, man. So when we start talking about the reconstruction of the bloodstream, we can talk about any subject that comes up in life that would relate, you know, to it, as far as I'm concerned. So when you see the young people, you know, well, just the shootings and all the stuff that's happening, man, and wars and
yeah, let's talk about that, because this is unleashed, and that's one of the type of things that I never hear nobody else talking like we talk about. The foundation. Watch all the police brutality videos. Watch all the lynching videos. Watch all the terrorist videos. What do they all have in common? Watch armies blowing people up. What do they all have in common? Pus and mucus eating. Pus in particular.
Let's check their stomachs. You know, let's check the soldiers' stomachs. Let's check the guys out on the street who did the drive-by and shot the other brother. Or, you know, let's check their stomachs. Know that they're not. You know, if you did an autopsy of one of the dead victims, you're not gonna find fruits and green leafy plants. I mean, you just. I doubt. And unless this was somebody they shot on an accident, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, wrong place at the
He
wrong
happened to
time
be
kind of
walking.
vibe.
He happened to be walking from Whole Foods and got caught up in the mess.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 That's
So
and that's the thing. You know, like I would like to see more folks really talking about that.
well, they can't
You
relate it.
know,
They can't relate it because you talk to the guys, the latest little uh, protesting movement is the Black Lives Matter, and so that's a group of people, I guess, all over the country. I know
it's
one
actually all over the
that
world now. I'd seen there's
is it,
protesting in other countries talking about how racist United States is, you know. And
but still, the point I want to make is that those cats can be very revolutionary in terms of racism and talk and and argue it down to the point where they make sense, but they can't get to the physiology. When you come at them with the diet piece, they just cannot relate to it, man. I've dealt with guys for 30, 40 years, man. Conscious brothers and sisters. Um, even if you talk about a group like PETA, who will put themselves in the way of a of a 18-wheeler semi, lay down in front of an 18-wheeler to save some animals, but wouldn't give a rat's ass about a black man getting beat down. You don't see PETA, you don't see them folks at no protest when the brother is laying out in the middle of the street for 4 hours bleeding to death. You don't see them protesting
right.
Black lives.
Right.
But
And that was yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, and that was a back because a couple years ago I was community organizing a little heavier before I really hit promoting the diet real heavy. I was doing a little community organizing. The last piece, a couple years ago with the Trayvon Martin thing, and
right.
and even then I was kind of like because I always like to try to build these bridges, and I'm looking at all these different little segregated camps of activists, and I was working with all these people that were like, because these are all meat eaters. So, but then I'm looking over here, and there's PETA, and there's and the Mercy for Animals, and my folks over there, and I'm like, man, we need to bridge that gap, because the one thing that we all have in common is we're against hatred. So both people need to, would have to learn from one another. The PETA people would have to get into understanding systemic institutionalized racism and the history of what is really going on, and then the other folks are going to have to put down the cheeseburgers and the and the crap.
So how did that go?
It didn't go. What I did was I started promoting the Mucusless Diet Healing System to the people that want to hear about the Mucusless diet.
There you go. So I mean, that tells you about, and you sized them up the same way I sized them up. And here they are, would lay down their lives for a cow or a dog, but a black life, a brown life, and in some cases, some white lives. They wouldn't give a rat's ass to protest or to feel like that matters. But that lets you know, once again, stomachs, psychopathic bloodline. You know what I mean? Psychopathic bloodline of how they rationalize their actions based on their stomachs. Those people are really thinking they're doing something, and they are. I mean, I am down with protecting animals because I don't eat them. So
Right.
I'm on your side. But at the same time, you know, when you start seeing a number of police shooting black men and killing black men for you know, unarmed black men, then you can't like be in a PETA meeting and just kind of look around and say, man, you know, here we are fighting like hell for dogs and cows, and there's some people out there that need our help, that need our resources, that need our bodies. They don't get that. You know, they don't get that because because you know, racism is a stomach. That's all that's all racism really is a stomach. It's a stomach disorder.
Yeah, yep. I agree.
You
Yep.
know, no one ever uses that understanding about it. But it's a stomach disorder. And so so I mean, so
And that's why we look at it like this has to be the priority. Like this has to be the foundation of the revolution, of the liberation, or you know, whatever change, whatever your pet project is or what you're working on. Then you know you can have those interests, but this has to be a part of that. Like this has to be central, and let those other interests sort of like fuel from that. You know, where
well,
you were like, this is the inspiration.
I mean, you think about, you make a list. What's at the top of the list? What's at the top of the priority list? You know, okay, when it comes to your daily life and my daily life, I think the most important piece is as long as we are conscious. You know, like when we get up, like in the morning, if we wake up with this consciousness, is air being provided. That's the first thing, you know.
Right.
You know, that's first. Okay, we got air going. We got air going. Okay, so we in there. Okay, you know, it becomes a great day at that point.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? At that
Yeah.
point, giving thanks to whatever you worshiping or whatever, you know, if it's Allah, if it's Jesus, you giving thanks because you're breathing now. You get a chance to do it all over again.
Right.
So that's first priority. Then you start putting that list in, you know, you start putting it together as far as what's premium. So air, we don't even get that. We don't, you know, we don't even get how important air is to us, to everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that our children are, the creation of our children. I mean, we don't get that, man. And you know, look, we can go ahead and just start it right now here on this channel. Is we are coming up with a new god called air. Okay, see, if you know, I'm saying, if you can worship Allah, Jesus Christ, all these, you know, fictitious people that you think, I'm saying that I know I can put my hands on air. You know, I mean, I can. It's real. That's something that we all can relate to. So let's call that God. You know, I mean, in that same reverence. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, with the just as a yeah,
something that we can identify that. See, we can't identify Allah. I didn't know him. You know what I mean? That was past my time, you know. And so how people worship things that they can't really identify, but it's just a belief system. I'm saying that air is real. What you breathing in and breathing out, that's real. So I'm saying let's start that. Okay. and I'm not relating that to brother air. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want y'all to think I'm taking the like I am God. No, that's just a name that a sister gave me years ago, and it's kind of stuck as a little tag, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, you making a point about that air is central. Like that's the foundation of life. That should be the thing that we are.
Man, we should have buildings. We should have buildings built in its dedication.
Dedicated to air. Yeah.
We got buildings built in dedication to what? Hot dogs?
Rockefeller, hot dogs and pizza and
all this, banks, whatever. So I know I know people are tuning out now, man. They like, boy, these dudes are tripping. It's like, man, them guys both got them locks, man. You know, they was smoking that nana, so. But, what we're saying, man, is that it is really time to be rational in this state of emergency. It's really time to be rational about how we, our next moves into the 2016, into the, we really need to, and make them count, man. Make our moves count. The internet is probably the greatest invention, I guess, of my generation, of my lifetime. That would probably be the, I guess that would be in my lifetime, I guess that would, right. I don't know, what would you say would be the biggest invention in your lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, like, I hadn't thought about that, but that makes sense. Yeah, internet, in terms of its potential and how plugged in. I mean, people plugged into it 24 hours a day, and it's really about, all of our technology is doing things that we used to could do and can't do anymore, so we used to be able to connect like this.
Right. Yeah.
Across. Yeah. So, but I would say, the internet probably, is up there. And especially for us, because we are less impressed with all of the, we're not impressed at all with the $1 trillion U.S. bomber or whatever that they sunk so much money into something that didn't even work, wouldn't even.
You say children playing in the sandbox.
Yeah, little kids trying to play war, trying to play army.
That's all that is.
And but yeah, as far as as that goes, I mean, the internet, because they it's because I'm thinking of all the different green energies and all that. I mean, that actually had been invented long time ago. It just had been suppressed by people that had interest in keeping things filthy and say, oh, no solar. We can't charge you for solar, but we'll keep on putting gas, this old waste, earth waste in your car, and we're going to burn that. And so, but yeah, I would say internet, is probably where it's at. But the key with the internet is using it in a way that serves you, as opposed, like you said, getting caught in it. And
catch folks. Yeah, I mean, that was our whole intention when we talked about it 13 years ago, was to, well, I hate to say it like that, but I mean, it was not to get caught in the web, was to catch people in the web.
Right, right. And if you have something that's worthy of sharing, because a lot of people trying to catch people and they're trying to give them,
That
you
was the
know, just
criteria. That was the
yeah,
criteria that you could not be bullshitting people.
right.
I mean, you really had to have something that was helping and serving, and so that's always been, like me and your quality control has always been high on everything we've done. I mean, the
Yeah.
quality control to the point where uh, we would go all the way to the wall with it, and if it wasn't right, we would put the kibosh on it. Like, nope,
Yep. Yeah.
not,
Right. Yep.
no.
Exactly.
I mean, we've done it, and because the quality control is, we're not out here. I'm not putting myself out here to try to make people think that I'm brilliant. Or you know what I mean, or to be
Right.
worshiping
Right.
me. I'm trying to I'm trying to deal with immortality. That's what I'm trying to deal with. I'm trying to study and understand these mathematical equations and things that we look at, and trying to get there, man. I'm trying to figure this thing out. Like, and if I can't, maybe I can help somebody get there. But that's what I'm really trying to do, man. I'm trying to,
Mhm.
I think, yeah, and you know why, like, immortality is a real thing to me, because I couldn't have just thought this up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, if I can go years without food and things that I've done, then I'm not the first one to do that. Somebody's here doing it. You know what I mean? You know how they say, well, it's nothing new under the sun. Somebody's doing it.
Yeah.
Somebody's somewhere doing it. And believe me, we don't have an original thought.
Mhm.
Somebody's doing this, man. And so, if we can think about immortality, you could believe that somebody's doing it, man. The thing is that with that kind of thinking uh, about immortality, they wouldn't be around us. They wouldn't. They wouldn't reveal themselves to us. You know what I mean? Because we're
That's
not,
yes. Yeah. Like yeah.
clean enough. We're not
Ain't
clean enough.
worthy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but to not even use that, we're not clean enough. We
We're
know what
not
I mean?
clean enough. Yeah.
We're
Well, and
just,
it's as simple as, and this was a real experience that I had where I knew one vegetarian when I got into the Mucusless diet. I knew one vegetarian. Then I got into the Mucusless diet, and all of a sudden I knew a bunch of vegetarians. I was like, oh, I didn't even know I knew vegetarians. Then vegan. Then all of a sudden I knew a bunch of vegans and knew Mucusless diet practitioners. And now I almost feel like I know more Mucusless diet practitioners and vegans and raw foodists than I do meat eaters. And I definitely,
yeah,
and
yeah,
throughout my day, I interact much more with plant-based people than the only time I might interact with I mean, it's just rare. I mean, just my daily day, I rarely will deal with a lot of meat eaters, just when
And
you
what,
when you
and
look at
what,
that transformation.
and what do you think that's saying? What do you think that's, like,
It's that frequency, and that law of attraction. I mean, once you get clean enough, you get into a certain frequency, you're going to attract that vibration. And I mean, I don't even think it's not even that complicated. It's just
right,
boom.
right. It is. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's 1 + 1 = 2. So yeah, I
And it was
mean,
like, and you had did that with even with the fasting when you had started doing the longer fast. Then all of a sudden, other people that is talked about doing long fasts kind of came out the woodwork. You know, it was like, you know,
Right.
it was like, okay, well, that was interesting. You know, didn't know that was going on, and you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
that's true. That's true. I mean, a lot of things, like you say, the law of attraction, and that's the real law of attraction, not that little. You know how to use the law of attraction, and it's real silly little American uh,
yeah, a little
pulling on
sterile.
pulling on your heartstrings, law of attraction bullshit. You know, uh,
Yeah.
we talking now, real law of attraction. We talking about the blood on the iron, the rust. You know, I mean, we're going in
Yeah.
real law of attraction, like, you know, the real matter. You know, like they say, Black Lives Matter now. Now we're talking real matter now. You know, like the blacker the matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The more the life.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what was happening, man. When you start dealing physiologically and you start seeking that kind of, because you know, because I mean, I don't know what happens on television. I don't have a television. I don't. You know, I mean, I've talked to you about it. I mean, like maybe you and a couple other people that I talk to frequently. And I was like not relating to people at one point. I was like, man, it's like I'm talking to little televisions, man. It's like everybody is so predictable. And I didn't want to take this attitude, this real arrogant attitude about thinking I was better than folks. I was like, there's a problem. I have a problem now because I am really not relating to especially Black people. I mean, I just wasn't relating at all, man. I mean, and still to this day, man, not that I relate to white folks or any other ethnic group a little bit better. It's just, man, I just don't get where Black folks, where they are assigning value to. I have no value for none of what they think is valuable. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, well, my thing is like I align kind of, to me is more artists. Like I feel more comfortable when I'm around artists and musicians, even if they're not into the diet. Like I can relate.
I used to could say
Still,
that.
I'm still there. I can relate to artists.
I can't say that no more because the artists have let me down, man. There's no characters no more. It's no Sunrise. It's no Buhanas. It's no Arnett's Walker. I mean, you know, it's kind of like very, you know, the artists have become very interchangeable with you know, like either they're on the bandstand or they could be interchanged with you know, by the water cooler, Procter and Gamble office building type of
personalities.
Yes. So I mean, you know, but that's just something that I'm really struggling with right now. Really, I'm really struggling with that. You know, and I'm trying to, you know, come with, you know, just trying to, you know, that's.
Because I mean, because everybody wants to relate to somebody. You know, you want to be able to relate.
You know, everybody wants everybody to like them. You know, I want everybody to like me. You know, you want everybody to like you. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but it had gotten to the point where I would find myself sitting in certain meetings or certain gatherings, which is not too often anymore because I don't really hang. But
with your coat on if you're inside because they got the air conditioning on and it's freezing. And that's a real problem, man. And nobody talks. People need to talk.
and a scully on, you know, with gloves. They look at,
yeah.
you know, like, man, I'm good, you know.
Like, can I take your coat? Like, nah, I'm good.
Good, you know. It's like,
It's just so,
so
yeah. I mean, those are things like real problems, man, that are hard, that make you want to get further and further away from society, as we probably should, to create our own thing.
we're
But
definitely too far away from the equator. That's definitely a fact.
yeah,
Definitely a fact. So, and that's gonna be remedied. You know,
that is,
definitely.
man. And so yeah, man, there's a question that someone posted, Chris posted. So I'm gonna read this, and I'm gonna chew on this, because I know I know you got some good things to say about this, like to really just put the kibosh on this whole piece. But and he had wrote this, I think last week, and so this is something that he's wanting us to talk about. So he said, "Hey, Professor Spira, I really need for you to address this issue. I live about an hour from Penn State. Each year they have a fundraiser called Thon, raising money for childhood cancer. It was started over 25 years ago and collectively has raised $127 million to date. There are so many other examples of this kind of pink ribbons for breast cancer, St. Jude's, and many millions donated for absolutely no progress, and maybe the chance to find a cure for cancer, in quotes, facetiously. My question is, why hasn't anybody heard that this type of thinking to heal yourself without nonsense of chemotherapy and drugs? Why has no one heard of Dr. Morris with incredible success rates of all types of so-called diseases? What would happen if you, Dr. Morris, and healers brought this to the world? I can't imagine why there are still people who donate millions in a never-ending cycle to find a cause for cancer and all other diseases."
What was the fundraiser called?
This one was called, it was just called Thon, THON, Thon.
HON, Thon. Okay, Thon.
Thon, like yeah, just instead of marathon, just Thon.
Oh, okay.
So because when they raise the money, they want to take the majority of the money. They don't want to write too much writing, and so they can save money on ink by not having the full marathon and just have Thon, so they can save the money that they would have put to that ink, and and put that money toward it's like somebody is eating really well.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, that question is. I mean, he answered his own question. I mean, he pretty much answered his own question. I mean, you're asking us why.
Well, asking why, like why is it that folks that are in the know, and we ain't the first, and Dr. Morris ain't, I mean, there's been people, I mean, Professor Arnold Ehret, we saw
Arnold
what
Ehret,
happened to him.
Arnold Ehret, that's what I'm saying. Arnold Ehret's dead right now. And so, I mean, anybody that is worth their salt and studying homeopathic type of movement knows about Arnold Ehret. They know about the medical profession, Western medical profession, European medical profession. They all know about Arnold Ehret's works, and they know, and they use it. You can see even in Western medicine some of Arnold Ehret's thinking in some ways that they talk about. You, I mean, every now and then it pops up. You be like,
yeah,
and you hear Ehret's work and but then they take it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I mean, the reason. I mean, if we're gonna talk about any time that we ever would mention conspiracy, that's the one time that we would use that, and we never use that word.
Right.
But that would be the one thing that what Chris is talking about is you talking about a real conspiracy to create a certain ignorance. I mean, they will shut us down right here on the internet. If we was getting like 5 million hits.
Yeah.
You could believe this conversation would not be taking place.
Exactly. Yeah. And that sort of goes to what you're talking about, where in order, folks like Dr. Morris and myself and other folks that are really speaking this kind of truth, we almost like there's a reason why we're underground, because we have to be, if we want to thrive, if we want to help the people. Because the one thing about being underground is the people that are ready for this information find it, because you don't necessarily.
That's the next excuse me for cutting you off, Professor, but that's real clear, is that this isn't for everybody. So if you give it to 1 million people, maybe 2 people will get it.
Right.
So this is the highest level of physiological liberation that you can deal with. This is it. This is where the rubber meets the road at once you get into the Mucusless Diet Healing System. When you start reconstructing your bloodstream, this is where the rubber meets the road. So if you got it to everybody, if you could put it on all the major networks, I guess it's still NBC, CBS, ABC, I guess it's still there, right? And you put it all on there 20 times a day. Folks wouldn't, a few people would check it out and really practice it. And then with them, you would have to be, it's like the commercials that you see year in and year out. It's like, dang, man, they must be selling a lot of this stuff. You remember the little sweat, little sweat,
Snuggie,
yeah. So they would have to push it like that just to get a few people to check it out. But then people would not stay with it. It's hard, man. It seems like it's hard for people to stay consistent with doing their enema. Waking up, just like brushing your teeth, waking up, doing your enema. And making notes about your transition in terms of grains, starches, dairy, meat, how you're going through this, really creating in your own mind. It's like you're analyzing this stuff in your own mind as it's taking place. It's like you're the doctor, you're the nurse, you're the teacher, you're all these people in one that has to make this work. This is what practicing the Mucusless diet is about. It's about really a certain level of intuitiveness, fearlessness, just really dissecting and because you do this and this don't work, and then you'd be like, man, and you're doing your enemas and the enemas not doing right, or this, you got to figure this thing out, man. Like, it's just not it's not the same for everybody. Let's say that it's not the same for everybody, and that's the problem that people have, is that people want something to be the same for them that it was for well, she lost 60 pounds, well, she could get in that dress, well, I want to lose 60 pounds, and so the one thing that we don't talk about is weight. You never hear us talk about losing weight. care less about that. Reconstructing our bloodstream is where real health lies. You dig? And so, you know, V equals P minus O. Vitality equals power minus obstruction. And so, you know, eating a certain way, drinking a certain way, doing your enemas, doing 1, 2, 3 enemas. I mean, I've done as much as 6 or 7 enemas in one day. Just experimenting, man. I mean, you know, just seeing what, you know, like, man, that felt good, man. I want that feeling again. Boom, I go do me another enema, you know. And so
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just the time, it's the era, it's the time, you know. We can always use as you mentioned, you know, that you Chris was mentioning, you know, he's aspiring to, you know, want to share information, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And that's, you know, we need as many people on our team as possible in terms of just you know, share it, but you got to do it rationally, and you got to, at first you got to, you know, you got to really get into it, you know, and really take yourself physiologically to as high a level as you can do it, you know. And then, you know, when you get that spirit, you know, you let that spirit guide you, and it's going to say, okay, now I need to.
We're just grateful. We're just grateful it's as many people now as it was 12, 13 years ago. Now we're just grateful, man, that there's people checking it out, man. So, I mean, so he's talking about the millions of people, man. We're happy with the hundreds.
Yeah, because we started is here because I always tell this story. When I started the forum, it was 10 people, and 2 of those accounts were mine, and I used to ask a question and answer it with a different account. I had conversations with myself,
right.
And it was like, well, I grew up only child, so I had to figure out how to be by myself all the time. So I'm like, fine then, if there ain't gonna be no one around, then I'll talk to myself. But and it helps other people learn, because they would just see people learn through that dialogue, just seeing people talking back and forth. They start learning the language and the way that people think, you know.
I'm happy with the progress, and that the more popularity that it's gotten. I'm happy with it, man. I'm really surprised that, you know, what we used to say was, keep on knocking, somebody's gonna answer.
Mm-hmm.
And a few people are answering now, man, because we've been knocking, man. It's like we've been consistent. We've done the right things, man. You know, as far as trying to get this to people and to get people to read the work. We are not trying to get you to do what we say. We're trying to say, look, there's a book that's over 100 years old that you should check this out. You know, I mean, this dude was heavy, man. I mean, it was, you know, and man, I've had black folks tear the book up because and tear the front page off of, because it's a white guy in front of it. Man. All these Pan-African people, you know, they'd be like, man, I can't have no white person on a book, you know. But they keep the book, and I mean, it's
well, what'd you say? Stomachs.
Yeah.
You know, condition of the stomach.
Stomach disorder.
Constipation. Yeah, stomach disorder. Just, you know, constipation all over the place. Yeah. And you know, so that's where it's at. I mean, we are at the forefront, and we're the pioneers of, and the, you know, founding fathers and founding mothers of the next human,
the next thing, you know,
society, human nation, whatever you want to call it. You know, Eric called it a race, whatever you want to call it. That's us. You know, we're the next survival of the fittest that this thing is going to. You know, and like we said, you know, somebody's gonna get over the hump. You know, might be, you know. We don't know, but we got to do the work.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get up, Jack.
You know, stay consistent, and And so yeah, now here's a question, and I'll address this because there was this comes up a lot, and people ask, well, how long does a transition take? You know, how long does it take to transition? And you know, so I kind of have my way of thinking about it, but I'll let you answer first. You know, when people ask you that, well, how long does it take to transition?
I'm still transitioning.
Yeah,
and I've been through it, you know, forever. It seems like. So the transition is just ongoing. Uh, uh, and then transition to what?
but that's that's the question, because that basically will define your understanding of transition. You know, you transit because for me, the concept of transition has gotten so deep. Transition is synonymous with life, you know, because it's natural. I see it.
Right.
If if you're in some place that has uh, seasons, you see the transition. But the biggest one that actually helped teach me something about, you know, transitioning in and out of longer fast after I watched Brother Air break a fast, a long fast after not really, you know, transitioning out of it. And then I started thinking about babies, and I was like, a baby starts off a breatharian for a little while, then is a liquidarian for, you know, 8 months or a year or however long they're on liquids. Then they start having soft food, like pre-chewed food or purees. You know, they transition into solid food.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in old age, when people don't get themselves together, and then they go through what is, you know, that elderly stages that have developed, what happens? People they're forced to transition off of, okay, they're forced to transition off of more you know, like small, they had to do smaller amounts of food, you know. Then they have to get down into the point where at the very end, a lot of folks can't eat solid food anymore. All they can deal with is liquids. And of course they get them on that old nasty Ensure and all that nonsense. But so the lesson that I learned from that is that Mother Nature is going to step in if we don't do something about our habits and what we're trying to do. But the transition from whether you look at it like that or not, transition is going on in the womb. You're transitioning into being something that can be self-sustaining. As a baby, you're transitioning, and that entire time you're transitioning. So for me, the question isn't how long does it take to transition. I'm always transitioning. Life is a transition. When people say existence or exit, you know, like this is kind of, existentialism. You know, just this concept of it's what is. I mean, transitionism. I mean, whatever. It's like, to me, transition is synonymous with life itself. The question is, what direction do you want to go in? Do you want to transition toward a lifestyle of accumulation, where you continue to accumulate more and more waste, and you have a child and pass on a ton of toxic waste to that child, and then that child transitions further down and passes on a lot more toxic waste to their children, and so then your bloodline transitions down into oblivion? Or do you want to transition toward a cleaner bloodline, you know, a healthier life? To me, so the question isn't how long does it take to transition, it's what direction do I want to spend my life transitioning toward? Now, when a lot of people ask that question, they're thinking of it more in terms of like a plateau point, like a goal. Like, if I can reach this certain eating habit, then I will be at the top of the mountain. Like, okay, I just want to be mucusless, or I want to be raw and mucusless, or I want to be a fruitarian. You know, there's these concepts that's out there. But for me, transition is so much more profound than that. Because that's nothing but like a little blip. That's a little period on a much larger scale transition. You know, when I talk about potentially having a child or something one day, that's a transition. You know, it's always transition. Like they say, that movie where they said always be closing. I would say always be transitioning toward physiological liberation. You know, choose the path of physiological liberation and leave behind, because as Brother Aaron said before, we already know what's down the other path. Like, we know beyond any doubt what's down the chicken nugget path. We've seen it. We've seen our parents and their parents go down that path. We've seen enough to know how that path ends up. But we don't know about this path.
Isn't life about explore and discover?
Well,
so I mean, that's what this is. That's what transitioning is. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to explore and discover? And you know, fearlessness. You know, I mean, when you practice this thing for real, you're going against everything that everybody holds dear. You're wiping the slates of all that. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's like relearning yourself. You know, you have to relearn yourself. You gotta be willing to want to do that. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, man. They're so hip. They're so cool. You know what I mean? They really are they really got it going on. All these terms that they really think they are. So relearning yourself, man, and humbling yourself, and really you know, just dropping yourself down, man, and it's kind of like take these beliefs in God. And so when a young person such as myself, I came up under, you know, my family would force me to go every Sunday to a Methodist church. And boy, it was so boring. I mean, it was boring. I mean, we need to come up with a new word for boring. That's how boring this was. It was more than boring. And so, but I would go and then I would go to church with my father's mother, and that would be like a middle of the road Baptist church. And then I would go to church with one of my aunts, my grandmother's sister, and that was a holiness church, which it was on fire. You know, I mean, they were like the music, you know, I mean, all day.
Yeah.
Getting out of church to 9 in the evening, you know. And so the point I'm trying to make is that as you get out of adolescence and you become a teenager, a young adult, and then you start questioning, what is God? You know, what does God mean to you? This word I done heard, somebody done taught me, you know, showed me, you know, God, or, you know, I went to Sunday school and Jesus, or even Allah, if that was the case that you came up under. Then we get into young adulthood. Maybe we go away to college and we check out some new things, new people, new organizations, and we get into, I'm gonna go check this out, and you find God, you know, and now you find another faith, and you say, wow, this strikes me as something I can dig. So what happens is, and this is the point. I'm trying to make a point here, and I'm gonna get to it. Is that when people evolve and start checking out all these different deities, if they grew up so-called Christian, because I didn't know nothing about God. I just went to church. You know, I just heard them. They were preaching. I didn't care nothing about what the preacher was saying. I really didn't. But I knew, you know, I heard it around my house, you know, Jesus, or, you know, and I would hear it in a conversation like, you know, Jesus knows best or something. You know, nobody never explained no mechanics to me about God, how it works, what, you know, what it was just, this was what it was. You know, church, God, you know, here's a Bible. You're supposed to worship this little black book, you know. Right. And so what happens is people, as they become adults, young adults, they might change their reference to the creator, or if they think that there's a creator. What I did was I shelved everything, man. I became, well, like, you know, you couldn't say anything to me about do you believe in God? Because I never mentioned God in anything that I was talking about. God or any kind of deity. I had shelved it. I had put it up on the shelf and said, okay, now let me see what this is about. Let me see the mechanics of what this means. What is this about? Now, what I'm saying is that people don't question that whole thing. They just change it. They might have they might grew up as a Christian. Now they are a Muslim. But instead of, you know, it's like always the belief. They just change the belief. You dig? They just change the belief. What I did was I shelved it. I didn't have a belief. I didn't tell anybody that I believed in God. I didn't tell anybody I didn't believe in God. But I was trying to figure this out. Still, church. You never hear me. I mean, I'm talking about it now, but I'm using these references. But you never hear me talk about God or the Creator or these deities. I think it's a personal thing. But no one never, you know, not enough people really question what is God, where is God, how is God, what's the mechanics of how this works. Nobody never questions. They just change it as they get older. They think and see, this is what I was trying to say. The hipper they get, they just changed it. Well, I'm into, you know, I'm an Israelite now. You see what I'm saying? I still believe. So it's still the same. And what happens is the same belief system is still in place from when they were a child, because they didn't kind of like just wipe that whole system out of their psyche. You know, they didn't wipe that whole system out of their psyche and then start over and start from the ground up trying to figure it out. Like, okay, you know, what is this? And that's where a lot of the confusion comes in with dealing with people, is that you have all these people that have a reverence for what they call a creator. And I'm saying it's personal to me. I keep it personal. I don't never go off into somebody and talk to somebody about, well, God said this, and the creator did this, and, you know, but I find that that's a real problem in our society about people not really understanding the mechanics of what deity they praise. They just got that belief system. Somebody told them to believe, and that's what they might have studied.
Well, everybody wants a dogma.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Everybody wants something to, to feel community and
feel connected.
Yeah. Where because that's something, me and Tony had talked a lot about that on different videos, just the whole dogma piece. And and just what we're talking about, I get a lot of requests to do, spiritual video, where they so-called spiritual videos. And and I'm always real hesitant to share a lot of those things, just because, like you said, it's personal. And what I try to do is show people the path of, is like, this Mucusless Diet Healing System. I think that this is a good path to take, and that if you get on that path, then there's revelations and there's a lot of stuff that we can't even talk about that you will start to experience.
Well,
but I don't have to. It's like, it doesn't gonna help you for me to talk about some of those type of experiences.
Right.
Other than maybe when people are ready, sometimes, in personal conversations where I know someone can really get into those kind of conversations, and I'll, we get into a little something, but and the main reason to even do that is just to kind of, is maybe to get a little bit of inspiration, or just explore, whatever. But, at the end of the day, and you had said this the last time we did a video, is that you don't have to hear somebody talking about it. You can see somebody living it.
Yeah.
Because doesn't everybody want to be next to somebody that is displaying spiritual or godly qualities, like things that we associate, like they don't have to talk about it to feel it. You can feel that coming off of someone.
It's those illuminating figures that we don't run into enough. Those illuminating figures.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, man, that we have these conversations about, because physiologically I can tell you this though, and don't believe that when I say this that it's totally about food, but you have to be empty so the knowledge of the universe can fill you up.
Yeah.
I mean, now don't think I'm talking about just food, a substance like that. But that's something that you can take with you and and really understand. I've lived that. I've lived that, as far as cleaning myself up it's like all of a sudden this, it's transmitting, you're transmitting this stuff is transmitting to you, man. It's almost like every book or everything that's been put in a book that is the truth is inside you already. You just gotta figure out how to get to it. So, I mean, like literally, if you were clean enough, you wouldn't have to read any books or anything. I mean, it would be like,
yeah, come to you. Yeah,
it's there. It's already there. The knowledge of the universe.
It's already there. Yeah,
it's already there. That's what we come here with. That's what we have I guess we should say morphed out. We've morphed out all those powers that we've had, physiologically, what we've done physiologically to ourselves. We've morphed out all those powers.
Right.
You did.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff. Yeah, like we trying to, and that's what we're talking about. We trying to get it back.
Trying to get it back.
Trying to put it back together.
yeah, trying to get it back, and it's, you know, it's a long journey, man, to trying to put ourselves back together again. You know, when you say Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great big fall, you know. Humpty Dumpty, you know, couldn't put himself back together again or something. Whatever,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back
Back
together
together.
again. But that in itself is key, because you could have the all of the backing of the president and the medical establishment and the whole you could have everybody around you and have all the support in the world, but they can't put you back together.
No.
You put yourself back together, and that's the moral of that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, that, you know, those questions, man, is like things that, you know, transition is just about, you know, you have to start the process, because that starts in your mind, you know, that starts the process just to think that you need to do something. You know, I remember, man, just eating a transition for me. Let's talk about some transitions, man.
All right.
A transition for me was to not put sugar on my cornflakes.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a transition for me, man. I mean, not have to put sugar on my cornflakes and just eat it.
Right.
Man, that was monumental. I felt like I had done something. I mean,
Yeah.
oh man. I mean, you see what I'm saying? That's how, those who watching this is how deep we've critiqued ourselves. That we remember things like that, you know?
Yeah.
It came down to critiquing ourselves, man. Just, you know, and I just remember, man, and that's like real important to me. Where other people, none of that stuff, man. I was making journals and well, I wish I had some of that old stuff I used to write down, and you know, boiling water and stuff like that, and eating soybean from trying to, you know, get off the dairy, and so yeah, that was a hell of a transition for me, man. Just to stop putting sugar on my cornflakes. I mean, I felt good about myself, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's the key, man. Is, you know, what's happening is there's a lot of the folks that find the Mucusless diet are folks that were really into the raw food way of thinking, you know, and they might have been able to sustain themselves for a certain period of time with certain types of raw foods, but they find that they hit a ceiling, and it's like, well, what do I do? A lot of them, if they don't know about the Mucusless diet, they go all the way back into you know, into some, I mean, I'm seeing them go back to meat and everything else. What we try to suggest is just focus on the transition and take a step back when you need to take a step back, take a step forward when you can take a step forward. And you don't have to be hard on yourself. You don't have to try to, you know, push yourself, you know, again, because I'm talking that long-term vision of when I make, like you said earlier, when you make a move, you got to make the right move and make a good move, and it's got to be permanent. So when I take the step forward, I don't want to, you know, take steps forward and then I have to fall way back at some point. You know, every time I take a step, it's like or a crawl. You know, I take a you know, a little piece forward. You know, I want it to be real.
But think about how think about how stimulated somebody is who decides to become raw based on where they're at. If they're not raw, now what were they eating? What stimulated them to become raw? You see what I'm saying? It's like, how would you get to actually think in your head, now I'm gonna become raw? Talking about people that's not rational, right? You know what I mean? They're strictly living by their stomachs because they're stimulated. Something stimulated them in the diet before they became raw. Something stimulated them for them to believe that they could become raw. You see what I'm saying? No
right.
kind
with no transition.
No kind of transition, no kind of understanding about what's going on. It's just based on stimulant. I feel like I can do this. I want to do this. And then they do it, and then they run into trouble. I mean, I had people, man, just, number of people who just went raw and then wanted to try to blame me.
Right.
They didn't read the book. They talked to me enough. They thought talking to me enough was reading the book. So they didn't read the book. They just started eating fresh fruit.
Right. Yeah.
And then, things start happening to them. It's like, man, So that's what I always think about, is what stimulates somebody to start thinking about them becoming raw. Like, yeah, I'm just going. It has to be something, something physiological, something in terms of what foods they're mixing together that gets them to that level. And all that really is,
but it's
elimination. They are in pain. You see what I'm saying? They're looking for relief now. And they're thinking that raw is going to give them some relief, because where they were before, they were in pain. So now they go, well, let me try this.
Right.
In search of comfort. All this is in search of being comfortable. You understand? Every move they make is in search of being comfortable.
Yeah.
But no kind of guidance, no kind of mechanics to it. And that's where they go wrong. And that's the difference with the whole, with being an emeritus. We have a system. It's a system that works. And it's based on your physiology because it works. And so that's transition, and that
I mean, but that's why that's all I talk about. Because to me that's well, I already said that transition is synonymous with life for me, so I'm talking about life.
Right. Transition is having a baby. That's a transition. That is a physiological transition. That's giving you. That nature is always giving you a way out. Nature is always trying to get itself together. That's the whole piece. This nature is always trying to get itself together. That's where the procreation comes in. Because if you were perfect, why would you want to procreate?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people, yeah. So.
Right. I mean, that's.
So that's nature. That's nature giving you a way out, trying to perfect themselves. And finally, it's come full circle where folks have gotten hold of the mucusless diet now, that can happen. You know, I mean,
Right.
we done went through centuries and thousands of years, man, where folks were just, you know, nature was just giving us chances and chances. Like, man,
And when the chances were over, it was a extermination time, because
yeah,
people look at,
it
you
was
know, the plagues and all, you know.
nature doesn't like vacuums. That's what
Mm-hmm.
that was about, you know. So, um, so yeah, man, that's you know, that might be some stuff to talk about, like, but then that gets into like embryology and just some real heavy stuff.
Yeah, a lot of folks. Yeah, I don't know. Are they ready?
Because you be using all these $1 billion words and stuff, and people just look at you kind of. I like to keep it down to, you know, like talk about my peanut butter and jelly days, you know.
Right. Yeah, the transition, because that be a thing that be tripping people out when I tell them about your, you know, your peanut butter and jelly on toast transition days.
Yeah, that lasted for 3 or 4 years, man. That was probably my longest transition in terms of whatever it was I was getting out. Boy,
And that's the thing that people don't understand too, is it's about the transition. Every time you eat something mucus forming, or you eat something, it's about the context. Every time, so sometimes you might eat something mucus forming and it's pushing something out, like it's
yeah,
pushing something worse out. You
yeah.
know, because it's neutral. It's helping you neutralize something really toxic, and it's gonna help it push out, because it ain't, you know, it's not. You might be pushing out some decades old chicken, but you're using peanut butter or something, you know, whatever, you know. So it's like, you
Poison
know,
is
everything's relative.
poison is delicious.
You know, and they try to tell you it's nutritious, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You
And it
know,
is.
like,
It is. It is, man. It truly is, man. You can get caught up in the deliciousness of it, and forget that it is poison. That the reason why you want this, the reason why you crave this, is that it's that poison. It's poison. You want poison. More, you know, bring it on. Bring it on. So, you know, that was you know, but I stayed with it, man. My enemas, I was doing like, man, probably on an average 10 lemons a day.
mm-hmm.
I knew I was gonna, you know, beat myself up later. I was like, man, I'm getting me some peanut butter. You know, I knew it when I would wake up. I knew that, you know, that my day was not successful unless I ended it with that peanut butter and jelly on toast. That would, you know, I had to have it, man. It was like that was the end of my days, and so yeah. But now I can't stand it, you know, because and that's where the enemas. People don't really understand the connection with the enemas, man. And you talk to people about enemas, man. They look at you just this and man, you know how ancient the enema is, and boy, I look at them and I say to myself, boy, you just don't know what you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know what you're missing, and they really think that I mean, they might check out everything I said, and I'm saying this publicly now. If you don't hear nothing I say, if you don't, you know, hear anything that I'm talking about personally this evening, when it comes to the enemas, man, check them out. I mean, if there's nothing else I say that makes sense, check out them enemas. The lemon and distilled water enemas. Check them out. I guarantee you it will change your life. Now that's the one thing that I will promote in terms of what to do. Because it's like you're irrigating your colon. First place where disease sets up at is inside that colon. So keep that stuff irrigated. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And that's the whole physiological wonder about it in terms of how you keep cleaning that poison out. And that's where those cravings go by the wayside. If you keep cleaning that poison out, sooner or later, if you love cupcakes, keep doing your enemas. I guarantee you, it'll be a day come you look at a cupcake like, oh my God, what? Oh, what is this? You just couldn't even stomach looking at it no more. And so yeah, the enemas, man, there's nothing that I say, man, get into the enemas, man,
And there's a question on the floor. Someone asked, how long do you hold the lemon enema?
Oh, man.
We got kind of different answers on that, so I'll let you go.
I mean, 10 minutes is good.
Mm-hmm.
I've held them for as long as I can watch a movie. I mean, I've got my sphincter muscle really strong over the years. So, but 10 minutes is good, man. 10 minutes is good, and yeah, I mean, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
if you can't hold it 10 minutes, then you can't hold it 10 minutes. But
right, yeah, I mean, you pretty much just hold it as long as you can, and
as long as you can, and if you can hold it for 10 minutes, that's good. 5 minutes is good, especially if you got the heat, if you really got it heated up right. Like today, I did an enema. It was damn near perfect. The heat was just perfect. I just got it just perfect, and I held it in for maybe 20 minutes, and oh man, just eliminated a lot, and I felt so good afterwards, just that's when that you really did an enema. I mean, really, is that you really just feel so another person. You feel like another person, I mean, like literally from one person, you feel like another person, man. Like, wow, now I feel like who I am, It's just, So yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I always say I used to do a thing where I would hold it for less time, but it was like if it went before I could hold them longer, but I was doing more potent lemons, because I was doing the lemon rind piece, and so I because anytime I made it with less, it would hold longer, but I was noticing that at a certain point, having a real aggressive and real potent lemon was just really starting to dig in, and I was getting all kinds of old crusty out, and the decades old stones and all that kind of stuff was kind of coming out at one point, and I wasn't necessarily holding it that long yet. I was just, I mean, sometimes it was only a couple minutes or something, but I was still getting that stuff coming out, because I'd made the lemon juice so potent,
Yeah.
But so but either way, it's a good question. I guess we got a question about the enemas, and so yeah. Let me see if there's any other good questions here. And let's see what someone's asking about. It's like, could you talk about freckles? Do you think it's a gland weakness, an acidic body? And so yeah. So I don't know. I've seen people that have basically transitioned themselves out of freckles. Yeah, I mean, but it's just a physiological it's just a physiological kind of expression, because everything is we talk about everything's transition and everything's elimination. So everything, all these different expressions are various levels of elimination, and there's just certain things are more seem to be more permanent than others. But I would have to know more, as far as like individual case study of what you're dealing with, that's to say, because I've seen some people that cleared up all kinds of stuff, freckles and eczemas and all kinds of different skin related things. But a lot of that, just there's a lot of factors involved, with those kind of things. But I will say, the skin tends to be one of the first things that you notice change for the better, when you're transitioning and you're cleaning yourself up. You just can kind of notice, it's like, okay, well, this is a little bit softer than it used to be, and it's, it starts clearing up if you have a lot of pimply things and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, my skin is like a baby's bottom, man. My face and stuff, the skin on it is just, and that's, I tell folks about that, man, and because that's a hard thing to talk about, being a man, man, my skin is just beautiful. But man, I look at brothers and sisters my age, man, and their skin just looks so like leathery and just really and mine's, just that's, and it's almost like, man, and I know you notice it too, it's almost like you can see bile in people's face because they don't do enemas.
Right.
And I'm telling you that enema will just clear up so much, man, and it's almost like I can look in. It's almost like I can see waste in people's face now, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean I was able to do that fairly early into the diet. It didn't take years to be able to see that on people. And you just because it's like you see it because you start to see it in yourself, and you see it leaving you. And so you kind of recognize it. So between that smell of that meat eater smell, that because that alone blew me away, when I was getting into the transition, and I got to a point where I had no tolerance for really being around someone that had that stench. There's a meat eater stench that you do not smell until you get off of meat, and then you realize, oh, that's how I used to smell. It's one of the most awful things that I've ever imagined, and that alone kept me out of a lot. That got me changing my plans many a times, where I might have went and did something, and it was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something else. Because I just don't want to be I do not want to be near that stench. And I've never, and it's not something that I tell people about or any, because some people are there, some of the vegan people that are like those outspoken vegans, they kind of have no tact and no real where they'll be like, they'll walk in and be like, it smells like meat eaters in here, like, all right, I'm not gonna be just disrespectful for no reason, but I just won't be there. I just won't, show up.
Yeah, those. When you mentioned that arrogance about vegans, man, I've noticed that because I just shut it up when I hear them start talking, and it's just they know it all. I mean, they are together. They are they are the top of the heap, man. They really got it together. Like when you say, like, what is hip? What's the song? What is hip? They are the hip. They are what hip. They are what's Ooh, they are the folks, man. I listen to them talk, man, and they're brilliant on every subject, man. They, because they can they can think so clear because they are vegans, they are just so clear on their thoughts,
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's
and that's actually a good subject because a thing about this that's important for the people serious about the mucusless diet is that this is a lifestyle for people that develop a level of humbleness, like you, because this will make you humble.
oh man,
I mean, this will this will
this this will practicing the mucusless diet, like we say, don't get scared if it get too real. That's what you're dealing with. If you come in this way and you really are serious about practicing this thing, then you want to know who you are. You want to know who your parents are. You want to know who your parents are. You are backtracking your physiology. You're going thousands and thousands and thousands of years back into your history about your blood. Now, are you willing to go that far and go through the pain of that? Because there is going to be, somewhat of it's painful, physiologically, emotionally.
and I'll tell you that for me, like that's where for the if if you're vegan and you notice you look in the mirror and there's a little arrogance, but see that means you ain't digging deep enough now, because now we got to get into some cleanliness, and it's time for you to dig deep at that point, because what happens is when you start digging deep and you start going through some of the real gutter stuff, because we don't never come up here and say like, oh, it's just gonna be grand and it's just clean and we're clean, and it's like, nah, I'm saying like this. Are you ready? Is there this? Don't get scared if it gets too real. What happens is, I call it the physiological karma, and it really is just karma. But if you looking at your bloodline and look at how many animals are you responsible for having slaughtered that's in your bloodline, you think that you can go a year or two with no with not eating meat, and you can rectify and repair reparations for all the underdeveloped humans that you done ate and that your parents ate and that for hundreds of generations back is in your bloodstream, and you think you can overcome that in a year or two?
Come on, man. Let's talk about the undeveloped humans.
All right.
Let's get some people mad. Let's watch your screen and see how many people drop off now.
Right. Yeah.
Start talking. And then we already talked about PETA and this love for animals, It's love for undeveloped people. That's what we call them, as undeveloped humans. And because no one never addresses where does animals come from. You mentioned once about evolution, and I just, like I say, I'm gonna wash your mouth out. But but we talk about hold on, this thing, I hit that thing. The undeveloped humans, in terms of imagine now you got to use your mind to kind of go back the illuminated people, the breatharians, right? Long before people ate sandwiches, all right? let's kind of stretch here.
All right, we're going back. Yeah.
Long before people ate sandwiches and you know and lollipops. So the illuminated people who were breatharians, who were illuminating. What is that? You know, the glow, that illuminating, that black feature that was so illuminous. This is the question I ask you, Professor, is what would get so bad in one of their lives that they would start to eat? What happened? Was it the environment change that they you know, from we're talking about immortals now, we're talking about breatharians, we're talking about the blackest of black people, the illuminated people. What would happen that would get them? And imagine the first thing that they ate. It wasn't meat, it wasn't dairy, it had to be fruit. Right?
Right.
Had to be fruit, the original fruitarians.
Right, right.
What physiologically changed? What physiologically changed when they started eating fruit? So now it's these people who don't eat, now they're eating fruit. Now let's walk this all the way through the physiological table. How we're going to get to the undeveloped humans. Started eating fruit. And some of those fruitarians now, something happened. See, I mean, you know, it's like gotta figure that out. You know, can you get cleaned up there?
Well, right. It's like, well, yeah, because it's kind of like, and even because we can, you know, maybe you go back to rainwater. So maybe you was drinking rainwater for some reason, you know, and then yeah, you find a piece of fruit and you still ain't eating that fruit, but you start sucking on it. You suck the juices off of it because you're used to the water, and you're like, well, this is okay.
All right, we got a scenario.
Yeah.
But now, what happens to the fruitarian who starts eating seeds and nuts? That was the next thing. They didn't jump into meat. They jumped
and even before that, maybe, well, what came first, the nuts and the seeds, or a starchy piece of fruit?
Well, let's say what came before that was what changed physiologically on them with the fruit, just the fruit. What physiologically changed on them? You know, I mean, did they grow a snout? You know what I mean? I mean, did they grow a tail? What happened? Something changed physiologically, because now your body has to come up with an organ that can eliminate. This is where elimination. That's our word, right?
Right.
That's the word we use. Okay, so now your body has to create an organ that eliminates that fruit. This is nature. This is nature gonna give you an opportunity to get it together always. Right. So now maybe they developed, kidneys, or things that we live with that we don't have to live with. You know what I mean? Certain things.
Right.
So I'm talking about organs now. I'm talking about elimination. I'm talking about real elimination and physiology now. So now They're eating nuts and starches. Now we're talking about real physiological changes
Bones and
in their
developing.
appearance.
Yeah.
In their
Yeah.
appearance.
Right.
That's where we get the fast from. Stop, fast. You know,
Yeah.
that's where the word comes from. Stop, fast. Like whatever you're doing, some elder is telling you, whatever you're doing, stop, fast. Like, you know, like that's where the word, that's where we got fasting from. Like somebody said fast. Like whatever you're doing, stop. You dig?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, okay, so now we're trying to put all this together, and the viewing audience, to come up with your scenarios after we come up with ours. You can come up with yours too, man. You know, we're making it. This is strictly, you know, like
it's just exploration.
We're talking about possibilities of somebody got to answer these questions of where these animals come from. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're not trying to do. And if we do that, then we can understand the severity of what we're dealing with and why we should be dealing with this so seriously.
So seriously, yeah, where there's no time to waste. Mess around.
So I'm saying, okay, so now you got the cats eating seeds, and now the physical appearance is really changing. The nose is getting wider. They might get splotches. The beautiful, beautiful, luminous skin. Now it's a little duller. You notice at some point where you see all the and this is another thing too. If you want to study ancient Egyptian culture, you got to study all the Greek philosophers. You got to. So because the books, all the ancient Egyptian books would burn. But the Greek philosophers were studying with the ancient Egyptians.
Right.
So when you read some of them books, you can put some of them things together. When you read things like, you know, study a culture by their stomachs. When you read that in Greek philosophy, and you know all those philosophers, then you can kind of put some things together. You can start seeing things and start understanding things. So now you have all of these, you know, guys, you know, people who are eating seeds, they're changing. You notice, why would ancient Egyptians? You always see ancient Egyptian scribes and statues, and all the women and all the men got makeup on. You know what I mean? All this lipstick, all this. Why? Because they were losing their luster. They were losing their color. You see what I'm saying? And death had started to happen.
Yep.
See? So you see all these, you know, ancient Egyptian, as best we can portray and have pictures and old things that we hang up on the wall, and we say, wow, look at this. They all got paint on their face. Perfection doesn't need anything. But when you start losing it, you see what I'm saying? You're trying to, you know, preserve it. And you're trying. So now we have, you know, the fruitarians. We have the seeds, the people eating seeds and nuts, and these people are changing drastically, man. Their appearance are changing drastically. At some point, it begins to get so bad that they start breaking off. Going up farther in the mountains away from these people. I mean, we could see the characteristics of just modern times, how people don't like people. just based on the way they dress. You know, y'all get over there, you know, and we got segregated neighborhoods still today. Well, we're gonna live over here. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're gonna
Tribalism.
very tribalism, you know. So now you got you got these folks, and death has set in, and so now you got these folks who are eating, you know, this starchy stuff, and becoming more psychopathic. Violence starts setting in, and now life becomes that with violence and all the psychopathism. And now, you know, I mean, now things are really, you know, changing. You know, degeneracy has just set in. Now you get, you know, let's fast forward it, because we could talk about this all night.
Yeah.
Fast forward it now. The psychopathism has gotten so bad that someone decides to eat a dead animal. But not.
And think about how bad they felt, and the key with that is think about how bad they felt.
But not a dead animal. A person. You see what I'm saying? Because there wasn't animals at that point. There
wasn't animals yet.
You see what I'm saying? Cannibalism.
Yeah.
Became like something happened in the environment. These people offshoot, they're over here, and so hey, well, let's hunt them down. Well, let's how they taste. This is psychopathism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now it becomes, I mean, and that's stretching. I mean, but what I'm saying is that when you look at a hippopotamus, or you look at a dog, or you look at a parrot, or you look at a bear, they have a nervous system. They defecate. They defecate, they urinate, right?
Yeah, they respond to pain.
They respond to pain. They have blood. They have a bloodstream. They walk on 2 feet. Some of them walk on all 4s. So now you looking into the eyes of a dog, you know, and you be like, man, you know, this is just really close to us. You see what I'm saying? So now that we can understand that the undeveloped people, that something happened, that this cat, that it got so bad that all of a sudden they got caught in that embryonic block, that they started developing like a dog. They come out looking like a dog. Now they get shunned. Totally away from the people. You see what I'm saying? Totally away from the other folks. And then they start moving out. And then it's just this constant thing, man. Now they're hunted. Now, you know, now people, I mean, it evolves to people eating people. That's what it really comes down to.
Right. What it really is. Yeah.
That's really what it is. And so you have these undeveloped humans that it's just like we used to have the same capabilities of a bird. You see, we used to be able to. I mean, if we see a bird flying, we used to could do that.
Right.
We used to could do all these things these are undeveloped people. You understand what I'm saying? These are undeveloped. These are undeveloped people, man. And when you see a horse that could run as fast as horse ran, we used to could do that. Look at our society. Everything has replaced everything. That's what technology is a sign of the level of sickness in our society. The high level of technology that we go, the sicker the environment is. That's proof. the higher level of technology. So we're at the internet level now, you know.
Right. So it's real,
Rocket,
yeah. It's real bad.
satellites. We got satellites. So you see what I'm saying? The higher level of technology gets, that's the sicker we get.
Right. Yep.
So we took our legs are gone, our eyes are gone, our arms are gone. We don't drive. You see what I'm saying? We used to walk. We used to walk 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, 100 miles. Now we drive it because our legs are gone. We can't do that anymore. You know, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's the real, to me, that's the real, the beautiful part of it is that the history is so long, man. Because at that point, when we start talking about the undeveloped people, we start talking about death. When we start talking about death, we start. I see your graphics, man. but when we start talking about death, then we start talking about how did all that water get there?
Right. Yeah.
How did these oceans? Because we used to walk. People lived in those places where all that water is. People lived there at one point. The land of Atlantis and all of that. So now death sets in. So a sign of how many dead folks over the years and centuries and thousands of years is based on the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, and all of those oceans represent death. Put a body in the ground. What's the first thing that comes out is water. Once you put a dead body in the ground, bury it. What comes
Right.
out?
Yeah.
What comes out? What comes out? Salt water.
Salt water.
So we're talking about salt. We're talking about look at these oceans full of salt water, and that's what, you know. When people always tell me, "Boy, look at the ocean, man, isn't that beautiful?" Well, it's about perception. Because when I see it, to me it represents death, a lot of death. So the job of what we're trying to do with the mucusless diet, we're trying to put ourselves back together. It's so long and it's so tedious, but it has to be done. But I mean, that's just how major the job is, man, of how much death we have to overcome when you look at all this water surrounding us.
Yeah. Well, you know, look at that, you know, mucus is, you know, if you got that old waste, you know, you got that salty nature of your mucus. If you got a ton of salt, that it is a reason that it's trying to leave. You get clean enough, you don't have that no more. You don't have this old salty kind of parched mouth, you know, all the time. You know, if you're not dealing with a whole lot of salt and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I mean, those are things that I wanted to throw past people, by people to that they may think about physiology in another way. Just, you know, think about the animals as undeveloped people, man. You know, I mean, you can look at gorillas, man. You can look at bears, man. You can see human characteristics. You know, like they went and it's funny, you know, with the canal, with that embryo and that canal that it goes down, at one point it looks the same. You know, it's a human. It looks the same, and then it goes down that canal and goes up this way. It goes that way. It becomes a dog. It goes this way. It becomes a fish. It goes this way. It becomes a bear. You know what I mean? It's so many ways that embryo. But at the beginning of all embryos, It all looks, they all look the same. Then they start changing.
And even if you go even further than even what's on this picture, and this was heavy to me because I was reading through like Haeckel, Ernest Haeckel is Eric, he refers to him a little bit, but there's some pictures in there of the embryo that like all embryos sort of start as it starts to develop more cells. It starts to resemble a leaf.
Leaf, yes, yeah.
So now with that level of consciousness, you walking outside and see a tree, and every leaf represents a human, an underdeveloped human, a potential human.
That's a whole nother level that we didn't talk about, but I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because there it is. Living beings, man, all around us. Living beings all around us, man. Don't cut the trees down. Don't, don't eat what come off of the trees, And that's, oh man, what is this?
Other level, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level of the breatharianism, and so when you're trying to put it back together again, man, you're gonna, kind of overturn some things that would be hard for you to live with, but you just have to keep like drudging through this thing, man, and trying to answer all these questions that you are asking. You can't stop asking these questions, man. You want the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth. You want the truth. I want the truth. I don't know. I think I can handle the truth. I want the truth. I'm trying to get it together, man. So yeah, man. It's I don't know. Is there any more questions, man? Because you got me like going, man, in this. Feel like this that old acid thing, man, is coming back.
Yeah, man. Now, let's see. I don't see. Let me check a couple different things, but yeah, I think we kind of covered. I think we took it. We unleashed it. And now
unleashed,
and that's well, I'll make a plug for the I extended the sale, the 20% off. If you go on to this page, there's a coupon code and a link, and if you want 20% off of the annotated Mucusless Diet, as well as, that's this one, and then as well as Spira Speaks, the paperback versions, you can get that. I extended that one. This is the last time, because I've had this sale a couple times the past couple weeks, and so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it one more time for the Brother Air Unleashed video, and then then that sale will be over. So if you've been thinking about getting no copy of the hard copy of those books, and this would be the time to do so. And I do, I appreciate all the kind things people saying, and there's a lot of people that really are, they're getting their hands on the books, and whether it's a PDF or a Kindle or the paperback version or whatever, they're checking out the books, and once, it's like you had to deal with that first, and then we can move on. We can get into the next level or whatever, but we got to deal. There's a lot to deal with already. That's in the books. It's in all the Arid books, and we can really, because a lot like some of the stuff that we just talked about, and this is why I try to explain this sometimes to people. Some of this, philosophical excursion that we just went on, that all comes out the Mucusless Diet book. you know, but it's part of, that's what I talked about, the path, you know, finding your way to the path. Because everything that we just talked about can be explained within the context of the mucusless diet. And I could point you to specific pages and specific sentences that Eric said that spurred on that level of thinking or that kind of consciousness, you know, and to be able, so it's not just something out there where we're just like there's no grounding to it. Like it's just something that we're just making up. It's like, nah, check, like he was hitting on something, you know, and there's these little gems, and a lot of, and the only way oftentimes that you can really understand and get to those gems is just keep going over the book over and over again. Just keep reading it.
I still read the book. You know, I read the book all the time. Hanif, my son, always asks me about it. It's like, man, you read it? Haven't you read it before? I said, yeah, I've read it about 7,000 times. I get different understanding. As I grow older, I get different understanding about different passages, and so, yeah, man. And then what you doing, Professor, with, you know, the newer books, man, I just love them, man, because they're so they're just right for you know, for reading, man. They're good reading material. The size of them just feels, you know, it just feels good to read something like it, because I'm so used to the little bitty book, you know.
Right.
Now, you know, new writing, you know, new graphic. Just, I mean, everything just looks better. It's bigger. It's just, it's almost like reading the book over again, and it's making it fun. And the covers and then the, you know, I mean, I'm in it, so that's kind of I'm in one of the books, you know, so that's kind of cool to be in some books, you know. That was cool, but great thing, man. It's a great thing. People need to plug in, man, because this material is things that they can help themselves and their families in the future, and their families to come, man. Just having that knowledge and getting themselves together, man, is it's as monumental as what Harriet Tubman did, you know, as leading people, you know, through the Underground Railroad. This studying this stuff and getting yourself together is like leading people and leading yourself through you know, to a real life. You know, and that's what it really is. It's giving you an opportunity to put yourself back together again. And so you need to, you know, if you don't have these books, you need to get them and study them, man. I mean, it's, yeah. If you know, if you want to put yourself, like, you know, on like if you want to become an adult, this is adult stuff. You know, this is adult stuff. If you want to become an adult, you got to get into this, you know. That greasy kid stuff, you know, like we said earlier, like playing in the sandbox type of thing. That we see a society of people who are, you know, just mass doses of television, mass doses of sports, sports teams, and driving around in cars with funny names and thinking, you know, I mean, just trying to be so plugged into pop culture. And we talking about grown folks, man, at 60 and 70 years old, still acting like little goofballs. You know, you see it, man, and, you know, just so stuck in material mythology. It's sickening. It's done got to the point where it's just sickening. I cry sometimes, man, just looking at how humanity has just given up. It's almost like, you know, people have just given up. You know, that there always used to be an understanding about Big Brother, that we were always, you know, oh, Big Brother is there. Now we're doing everything we can to embrace Big Brother. We want Big Brother to love us now.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's weird. So we always had Big Brother in our psyche in terms of we know it was there, and so okay, but we never had no love for him.
Right.
But now it's done. It's done. You know, academia is a joke. This thing is on its way out. What practicing the mucusless diet can do, and just practicing your physiology and getting yourself together, can help put this thing in the dustbins of history. That's what we're trying to do. Quietly. Don't tell nobody.
Right. Yep.
We're privately trying to put this thing in the dustbins of history. Whatever you call this thing. America, whatever, you know, Europe, whatever you call it, we're trying to push it aside, push it away, and bring something that's worthy of human beings, because this thing is just it's sickening. It's the things that we assign value to is sickening.
Yeah.
Don't give a rat's ass about football or baseball or boxing or especially when you know the severity of what's going on physiologically with us just falling like flies, man, to disease. You know, and all these, and it's almost like we have all these foods and all this so-called nourishment to go with our folly. Well, baseball, we got hot dogs, we got the long hot dog Franks. With boxing, we got this. With football, we got so it's almost like we've created all this death type of culture, food preparation to go along with our
drinking. I mean, in what rational world would people actually want something rotten to drink? Like you walk in, hey man, can I get some rotten drink? Can I get some? Where's that old sweat sock? Give me some.
The sweat sock. That's funny. They need to go onto your site where they can see the sweat sock, man. What did you got? What did you have that under?
That was on that's on a YouTube video that the dietetic double standards. And
dietetic
double.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to that, people, and that will.
And that old sweat sock is even in the title. That's the beginning. It's like that old sweat sock, and I think dietetic double standards.
Yeah. They need to see that, but that's that's the thing, man. It's just
because that's a sad state of affairs when you on a table you put freshly squeezed grape juice in one cup. In the other cup, you put rotten grape juice, people call wine, and people will want the wine instead of the fresh grape juice.
Well, tell me somebody who took their first drink of beer and liked it. You know,
yeah.
You remember your first drink, your first drink of beer?
Yeah.
Man, that's the worst taste that's known to man. and then the problem is that we keep drinking it. We come back the next week and we want some more, and we just acquire a taste for it. Of rotten, like you say, rottenness. It's always like we acquire a taste. we don't acquire a taste for a sweet cherry or a sweet apple. We acquire
You
a
already
taste
have it.
for,
Yeah, right.
for nasty beer and nasty wine and 100. And man, I used to drink 150 proof Bacardi's rum, man.
Mm.
That was just insanity, man. Like, you know, like,
Like
and
I want to burn a hole through my stomach. Come on.
hey, they shoot horses, don't they? I mean, that was the kind of mentality that we were walking around with, man. Like just zombies, man. You know, and so all that, man. I mean, people who are, you know, trying to get themselves together, man. Because it's not easy. It's not easy practicing the mucusless diet. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. I'm not gonna sit up here and tell.
Right. We ain't right.
It's not easy because it's gonna open you up. It's gonna open you up to some truths, and it's gonna, you know, I always say, like, you know, go 3-4 days on a fast, and that'll let you know how sick you are. You know, just 3 or 4 days will tell you where you at. People want to fast. I get, you know, those inboxes and people hit me up talking about fasting for 100 days. And, you know, never done a fast before, and they want to fast for a year. And like, man, just fast for 3 days. That'll tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know, everybody want to, you know, it's like the tortoise and the hare, man. This is not to the swiftest, man. This is about enduring.
Yeah.
Not, you know, this is not a race. This is, you know, get yourself together, man, and, you know, get yourself together and tell us how you did it.
Right.
You know, tell us how you did it, man. I'm interested, man. I'm trying to get myself together, and I know Professor is trying. We're trying to get ourselves together, man. Slowly but surely, it's working. So glad that the book and the message and the information is getting out there a lot more than it did 30 years ago, and you know, I'm so grateful to be a part of that. And so yeah, man, I'm leaving, man.
Yeah.
I'm done with your people, man. You know, go home.
You say go home and didn't do an enema? It's enema time for everybody.
Yeah.
Enemas all around.
Go home. You know.
Yeah.
But anybody, you know, you can hit me up, you know, on the Facebook or whatever, and say hello or whatever. And you know, it's always a pleasure, man, to hook up with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Likewise, you know, and it's always a privilege to have you out, man. And I know there's definitely a lot of people that definitely really value, you know, every time you come on here and we do something and talk. You know, there's some people that really, I mean, man, you know, we've been doing these long videos, and there's folks that watch all of it. You know, they watch the whole video, and that's who we're doing it for. You know, we're doing it for the folks that's you know, serious.
Yeah.
And
That's a hip thing, man. That's that people are interested in hearing what we think, man. That's you know, it's something, man. You know, I'm just humbled, and that makes me work hard, man. Like, really, you know, try to get it together and try to push it and see where I can go with it, and where I can come back and tell folks, man, like, you know, check this out, you know, and you know, where they might not have a harder time. You know, I'm kind of the gnashing of the teeth guy, you know, the Green Beret guy that goes out there, you know, the Navy SEAL type of cat that goes.
Right, yeah. SEAL Team 6.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make it a little easier for the folks, you know, that they can go through it a little easier. But yeah, do the enemas, man. You know, like I said, if there's anything that that they get from this evening, man, and they're not doing their enemas, get you a little hot water bottle, man, some lemons, some distilled water, and you know, hit up Professor for instructions on how to do it, you know, or whatever. If you really don't know how to do it,
Yeah. And this is the book for you. If you want the turn by turn navigation of the lemon juice enemas, I got like 20 bullet points. It's like 1 through 20 on exactly what to do. And
yeah,
you know, and I when I think about that, having done that, it's funny because it just reminds me of like some of the steps that I put in here is stuff that I learned calling Brother Air like in a bathroom. Like I'm like trying to figure this thing out, and I'm like, man, what's going
yeah.
on? You know, and I call Brother Air like, hey man, how you do this? I'm trying to, you know, and he's like, well man, just lay down. I'm like, okay, thanks, click. Like,
I remember those days. Like I can smell it, you know. It was like, man, I can smell it, you know. So yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, and you need somebody like that sometimes because you know, like when you first do those enemas, man, and you really people really don't know how to do them. I mean, and we all go through. It's like, hey, how do you? You know, I know. Okay, I can make it up. I got it in the bag. Okay, now what? Then, you know, you
yeah.
stir it and use a little lubrication to get it in. And then, you know, it's coming out, and you know, and then all of a sudden it gets absorbed, and nothing comes out, and you sit there for
Mm-hmm.
3 hours, and you wonder what the hell happened because you had all this water go in, but nothing's coming out. And what that is it doesn't absorb into you like a sponge because you've been eating all that wheat and mucus and pus, and it's done absorbed into you like a sponge.
Right.
You know, so people don't understand that. But the lemon, the
That's the
lemon will
thing.
cut through. Yeah, the lemon will cut through. Just do another one, Jack, because that lemon will cut through all that acidic, like real acidy, you know, real. Well, I mean, the acid in the lemon will cut that real plaquey stuff off of the intestinal walls and start making some of that stuff move, man. And you know, you will be happy. Well, I don't know. You might not be happy with what you see.
I was, you know, I'm happy. Well, I'm happy to see it not in me, and that's
Yeah,
because that's a funny thing that people that's just a funny observation because people will be so weirded out about, you know, germs, and then they won't want to touch this, and they're ooh, and then like the same person that'll be so obsessed with, oh, you got to wash your hands real good, or you know, I take 2 showers a day. Like the same person that's totally obsessed with that, you see him eating this worm ridden petrified filth, dead animal flesh, just like that's just the cleanest thing. And then they have a bowel movement, and you don't think that touched you. What's the difference of your bowels touching
but
your
that
your
uh,
feces and you grabbing it in your hand? You know, it's like if anything, it'd be better for you to grab in your hand than to have that type of putrid mess down
that,
there.
that's the psychopathic nature of what we're talking about, man. How far they're so far away from their bodies, so far out of their bodies, they don't have no kind of rational thought about what's really going on. They're high.
Mm.
They're high, you know. They're basically high as hell, man. Everybody's walking around high, you know, and then that's hard to navigate, man, when everybody is so stimulated and so high, and here you are, you know, you're coming down, and you're trying to relate, and it's like, you know, maybe the guy's doing an 8-hour job or something, cracking of the whip, and you can't have that. When you're trying to practice the mucusless diet, man, you can't have somebody over you cracking some whip. You know, you're looking at them like they stone cold crazy. And they don't get it. And they look at you like you're just pathetic. You're just no good, just a no good for nothing, lazy, you know, whatever, you know. But I don't understand, man. When you coming down, you're trying to get it together, and you're coming down, man, you're gonna get weak before you get healthy. You're gonna get weak, you know. And so that's what we were talking about earlier, as far as a lot of people, you know, it's very hard to practice the mucusless diet. That's part of it. You know, people think that they feel like they're gonna die, and they don't understand that's a part of transitioning, of getting weak. I watched Professor go through it, and he's watched me, you know, and I mean, you know, so
yeah.
And I told Professor about what was coming. I said, "Look, this is what's gonna happen."
yeah, years ago. Yeah.
I told him exactly what was gonna happen, and you know, in the midst of it, he was in college at that time, and when he really was going through, I think he was doing the doctoral.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm still finishing that. Like, I'm just not like the I'm, you know, I'm about 300 pages into my dissertation. That would have been done already. That's what I was in.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now is what I stopped working on when I started going through fall.
Right.
You know, and because all this, like, exactly what I'm working on right now was what I was working on then, you know, but I you know, I knew it was coming, and I had to have it in my head of like, okay, like, this is what I'm gonna do. Like, whatever happens, everything is gonna have to stop, and I'm gonna deal with this. And so it wasn't a question. So there's a lot of stuff in my life I had to shut down, and a lot of, you know, just there's a lot of changes and another rebirth, you know. And I say almost like every 2 years, it's almost like I have another rebirth, you know. It'll be like every 2 years, it seems like you almost become kind of a different person, you know. Things shift around and change, but you know, but it was intense. It was real intense. But that's the thing. That's why when we talk about these things, and we, you know, in the kind of things that we try to share, when we telling you, man, you know, I always tell people, with the little bit of wisdom that I have for the little bit of time I've done it, man, just enjoy the process, enjoy the transition, man. It ain't a race. You know, it is not a race. You know, enjoy the process, and really, you know, let your body adapt to the changes, you know, and when it's your time to go through, you know, a huge elimination or a fall or whatever, then, you know, hopefully if you you know, you study along the way, you'll know what to do. And now there's you know, there's folks around that's got that you can talk to, and you know, we kind of help each other through these periods. And that's why the community is important, because once you have a group of people that understand what you're going through, then they can help, you know, and they can, if nothing else, but just getting out your way and just kind of like, all right, I got your back. You know, if you need something, holler, you know. And so because a lot of people don't understand. And you know, we call it the fall. You know, some people will call, you know, like healing crisis, you know, but the fall is different. It isn't the same as just a healing crisis. You can have a healing crisis and we just call that elimination, you know. But the fall is something and that's a whole other video. We won't get too deep into that, but that's something that, you know, long-term practitioners tend to go like I talked about, when all those buffaloes that your ancestors killed, when that karma starts coming back around, you're gonna feel it, you know. And that's what the fall's about, you know.
about. Hey, man, I'm out, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think we're gonna close it on off, man. And so really appreciate Brother Air for being on here, man. We're gonna do
Man,
this.
we have to do it again, man. We have to get a few cats, man. Tony and Danny and
Yeah. We're gonna hook that up. Get some folks. Get some folks on board.
That's my cat, man.
Yeah. And so brothers and sisters, it has been a pleasure and a privilege as always to to broadcast out there to everybody. And this has been Professor Spira and Brother Air Unleashed for this year. And like we always say, it's about doing the work. It's about roll up your sleeves, get into the get into the what you waving about. Oh, he said he's out. Peace. Yeah, and so it's about doing the work, man. So any last words for the folks?
Hey, man, just next time we come together, man, let's make sure that we made some progress.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, yep. So all right, well, enjoyed the session. Hope everybody got something out of it, and until next time, peace, love, and breath.
Get out of my living room.